I never experienced big my whole life and my husband threatened to divorce me when I learned how to do it. Now I am considering leaving him. I was raised in a religious house. I'm no longer religious, but because of this intimacy was kind of a no situation that included exturbation. I admit, I tried a few times as a team, but nothing came of it. No. Big Oi met my husband after leaving home and we waited for marriage to have intimacy. When we did start having intimacy, my husband always told me he loved the way I Big O on him. I didn't feel much different. So I asked him about it, and he said I would squeeze harder down there when it happened. I told him I didn't notice it much, and he told me that everyone hyped it up to be more than it actually was, and that I was, in fact, Big Going. I went to my OB recently for other issues, and he noticed some sensitivity I had down there. He started asking me about it affecting my intimacy life, and I explained what my husband told me and how I had not noticed it much. He was quiet for a minute then asked me questions about if I disturbed it and I told him how I tried, but it never went anywhere for me. He left the room and a female nurse came in to talk to me. She started explaining things about nerves and the vagina and how female bagel usually work. She even told me a few things to go home and try to see if I was able to. She suggested I give it a shot, and if it doesn't work report it to my obese, we can make sure all my nerves are functioning properly, and there are no underlying issues we need to know about. I was hesitant, but later in the week, my husband had to work late, and I used that time to try some stuff out. It worked, and I had my first real Big Oi. Admit I was so excited. I did it a few more times to be sure I wasn't just making it up in my head. It was simple and easy, too. All I needed was a rub in the right spot. Basically, I waited until the next time. My husband asked for intimacy to show him, and he asked me where I learned this. I explained my doctor's visit and everything, and he got angry. He said I already Big O during intimacy, even though I don't feel it, and that I should be happy with that. I told him that it wasn't difficult to do this one extra thing during intimacy, and I didn't see the problem because we both Big O in the end. He said he didn't want to be bothered with it and that if I was going to insist we shouldn't have intimacy anymore. I agreed and told him we would not until he came to his senses and realized this is not a difficult ask. He said if we're not having intimacy anymore, we should just divorce, so he can find someone else. I told him good luck because with a dead intimacy life, a failed 10-year marriage and 2 kids baggage, you won't have many options at it. My husband and I are currently speaking, however he did come into the kitchen earlier and said he wasn't serious about the divorce yet. I plan to give him time to calm down and we'll try to talk to him tomorrow. Partial update. So this morning, my husband came out of his game room. Finally, he spent the night there, which is unusual. He left to go run some work errands he had, and while he was gone, I decided to peek in there to see if there were any clues to his crazy behavior on his computer. I found 3 websites recently looked at: 1 for a therapist, 2, how to please a woman in the bedroom, 3 divorce attorneys. The first 2 gave me hope so. Maybe he would talk to me and we could avoid the 3rd search result. I felt bad looking into his history, but I also felt justified since he hasn't yet spoken to me about the issue. When he got home a couple of hours ago, he told me he needed to talk to me, but he wasn't ready yet and said he wanted the kids to go spend the night with his brother and his wife. We do that occasionally for a break, so I called and set it up and told him we were dealing with some personal matters and needed a break for the night. Brother-in-law is going to pick them up from school. They already have extra clothes over there, so there's no need for them to come home. I'm now waiting for my husband to be ready to talk. He said he would come find me when he was ready. Update. Post 17 days later, so I finally sat my husband down to talk and he wasn't happy about it. He kept saying he didn't want to do it touching/rubbing, nor did he want to witness me doing it to myself. I kept asking why he had a problem with it. And finally, he exploded. He explained to me in detail what his now deceased grandmother used to do to him every time he spent the night with her. It was awful and wrong. And my poor husband hated it. He explained that he never told because his grandmother said she would blame him and say he assaulted her and having sent to military school. He said, because of her, he doesn't find doing those things sexy or fun, but disgusting. After he told me we were both silent for a while. He mentioned that I was the only one he had told before I suggested therapy, and he surprisingly agreed. He said, if all goes well, he will one day be able to help me in the bedroom. We agreed to no intimacy until he was comfortable enough to participate with me. Exturbation is allowed, but in private for now. He started therapy and seems more relaxed and happier. The life-changing part for me is the different perspective I have on the situation now. Initially, I thought he was being an awful husband. Now, I know most of it is trauma-based. That's my update for now. If interested, I may update again on my profile once we get back in the bedroom. Bye, guys.